Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, December 16th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is King of Wands, who says the retrograde has to be about communication issues. We've been seeing a lot of communication coming through over the last couple of days. Masculine energy particularly is in a modality right now that is heavily bent on communication and planning. I think one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of that easement right now in the realm of communication, even though we're finding ourselves at the beginning of the retrograde period, is that we're seeing that for a lot of the energy in divine union, there was a little bit of doing the homework ahead of time. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union, we're almost facilitating that point of getting as much done as they could, almost like pre-gaming the retrograde, if you will, like shoring up any of those things, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And we're seeing here that it's almost allowing what the retrograde is effectively for, which is that moment of being able to come up with new plans, new ideas, letting it be a slowdown, but a productive slowdown, a space or place that slows things down to be able to find new pathways and new innovations. Masculine, particularly right now, is utilizing their powers of communication and planning heavily today. Feminine, if in divine union, you could be seeing or navigating a lot of energy right now with a masculine that you feel is trying to put a lot of this energy into play right now. So for the moment, we're seeing that feminine might be feeling like they're very much in a supportive role of this energy, which makes a lot of sense because we did notice over the last couple of days that the feminine energy has been more in that like wait and see approach. You know, almost like coming into that state or space of almost articulating and amplifying whether they feel like the actions or the plans of the masculine feel like they are in alignment with them. We're seeing here that this is almost masculine continuing forward in that space of communication with the feminine, putting that communication into play. Masculine and feminine in divine union, this is going to be more of that energy we see of masculine trying to mend fences and build bridges through that keeping of the opening of the heart space. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is that energy of the fact, and it may feel like to a certain extent right now, masculine is almost operating as a mouthpiece for the divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Why is this happening? Because we literally saw this energy that's coming into union right now, that's coming into the divine union frequency, is immediately contending and trying to address situations and circumstances wherein the energy outside of the partnership itself may be feeling in some way, shape, or form that it was oppositional for the energy coming into divine union. This is almost masculine energy leading the charge in articulating the opinion and the space of the communication coming from the divine union. And this could be specifically because a lot of that pulling away was feeling like it was directly targeted in the facet of the masculine energy. Feminine, you may be seeing masculine embodying this role if you're continuing into the divine union frequency, and masculine almost articulating something on behalf of both you and them in relation to the divine union forming. Feminine energy in separation, this is feminine energy continuing forward and opening new pathways of communication with masculine energy. We basically said and saw over the last few days a lot of this clearing of the cycle. Feminine coming into that point of observation, recognizing why they were holding on to something so tightly. That ability or degree to look at the fact that they came so close to divine union, it almost feels like they touched a live wire, if you will, like they jumped up and they touched it, but it couldn't be sustained, like had it for a moment and then it was gone. This is almost amplifying feminine energy's own conviction that what has happened once can happen again. And this is why we see that a lot of the feminine energy is almost moving forward with a lot of speed right now, because feminine energy doesn't want to lose that flow state. They don't want to lose that capacity. They are almost amplifying to themselves right now. The feminine energy is seeking a masculine that can bring them back into that vibration, but has the ability and desire to sustain that note, if you will, right? This is feminine, almost like having that moment. Like we said, we've been describing this feminine energy and separation right now being like, I know you can sing, but can you hold a key? Can you remain consistent in what it is that you truly desire? Or are you just moving from place to place to place to place, following like the dog, like being chased around by the tail? Like, are you chasing your own tail, Or are you moving with intentionality? Is your desire driven on a particular path, on a particular purpose? We see here that there's a lot of feminine energy in separation right now, really trying to understand, not necessarily just opening themselves up to masculine, as we said, but almost saying, tell me what you're seeking. Tell me what you aspire for. And a lot of this is going to be coming through that state or space of really kind of asking masculine energy, that higher level information, to try to suss out if this is energy that truly desires and understands the amplification of divine union, or if it's just one that's moving from a space or place of personal interest and desire. Masculine in separation right now, you are potentially in this modality where, fortunately, if you're in this collective, you know what you want. You know what you're seeking. You've been utilizing this time to understand. And how's masculine energy understanding what it is that they're seeking right now? Masculine energy has been doing a lot of deep work looking at the past, recognizing that there's a lot of valuable lessons in their own past and in their own experience, almost observing their own self. And not just observing their own self, almost amplifying, rehashing, if you will, past experiences willingly with other healed masculine energy to get any data points that they feel like they might have missed. This is almost literally masculine energy potentially in separation, going to other masculines, being like, can I walk you through something? Can you give me, I just had a thought. It's almost like masculine being like, something happened to me. And I'm just having this thought about what that might have been. Can you just sit here for a minute? Can I just walk you through it and see if you have the same opinion? And it's almost masculine, like utilizing this ability of the other masculine energy that they trust that's healed to help amplify and be like, yo, that's exactly what happened. The important thing we noticed here, and this is the turning point for a lot of this masculine energy, may have to be who you're talking to. Masculine, you may be turning your conversation now away from any energy that feels like it's more in that night modality. And we see here masculine's talking to that king energy right now. Masculine's talking to that higher level energy that's built that point or that level of sustainability in their own experience. And in a way, it's that, and even potentially energy that they see and recognize is actively in divine union. And now we see that the masculine is almost like recognizing that it's not just good enough to be able to talk to others and get insight, that it's more about who you are asking the questions to, where you're getting that point of insight. One of the things we see with the masculine in separation right now is masculines almost turning their attention away from the peer group, away from the other masculine energy in separation. They're turning their attention to the energy in the divine union. They're turning their attention to the energy that has divine union, almost saying, can I walk you through? And then being like, yeah, we had to wait for you. And almost a masculine energy in that modality being like, we were waiting for you to finally come around to this. We were waiting for you to pick up on this. Second card in our 5-card spread is, again, this is what we see the masculine energy in separation is doing. Masculine energy in separation is like post-gaming a lot of the experiences that you've had leading up to this point. This is masculine energy literally looking back right now with an eye to their own past, because this is almost now a moment that masculine energy is like doing this work. It's like doing this homework very willfully. This is like going back in your own history right now and like checking your work, because what we're almost seeing right now for a lot of the masculine energy in separation is, like I said, what's happening with this data point you've gotten, this insight, this internal revelation moment, is one that you suddenly have to take the whole thing that happened prior to this and look over it again because you weren't looking for the right things. So this is now masculine almost going back in their own history, looking back at an experience and being like, what did I miss? Because now you see something that you didn't necessarily see about your own self, that's creating a point of intentional observation around past experiences and circumstances. Masculine in separation, you may not even be doing this in isolation right now. You may be rehashing these things right now with a lot of different energy around you, because it's all about getting that data point from energy that has the optics that you're seeking to find. Feminine and masculine navigating this right now and now wanting to actively communicate about any of these circumstances or situations that are from the past that they would address in a different way. The masculine energy in divine union is doing this too. All right. Did you notice this? Masculine, feminine energy in separation is doing this is doing this in a different way, because this is feminine that is rehashing the past, their own past, with masculine energy that aligns to them. This is why we see the feminine energy right now is opening themselves to new possibilities as it relates to masculine, old and new. What is feminine doing right now to help ascertain the viability of a divine union connection? Feminine is literally articulating and explaining to masculine energy what's happened in their past. And again, the response and the communication that is happening with the masculine is helping the feminine identify if this is going to be a productive space or place to potentially move towards divine union. If this is old energy, it's requiring immediate accountability. It's literally feminine being like, if the masculine's trying to approach him from the past, being like, you're going to explain, like, are we going to talk about what happened? Are we going to talk about where things were left? Are you willing to pick things back up where you left them? Almost immediately, again, feminine being like, I would just like to remind you, distance did not make me forget the plot. And almost amplifying to masculine and being like, if you were quiet for a long time, it seems like you were trying to get me to forget the plot on something. Masculine that's coming from a point of healing, this is almost masculine potentially saying, yes, that's what I was trying to do. You're right. I was trying to avoid a conversation, so I tried not to talk to you. I was hoping you would forget it, but now I see the fact that that is completely messed up. Like, this is literally the masculine that's coming in and healing. I was almost amplifying and saying, like, yes, that's exactly what I was doing. I didn't want to talk about it. I wasn't ready. I am ready to talk about it now. We see here that this is, if masculine energy, old energy coming back, if this is that, feminine's like, there's some change. There's some change. There's some change. Feminine energy, with new energy, this is also feminine energy leaving themselves open to new masculine energy. And how is feminine energy building that connective tissue right now with old masculine energy? They're telling them about their past. They're amplifying and they're talking about their past to see how the masculine energy responds. And for a lot of the feminine, it is that point of connectivity that they're seeing right now, potentially, that is amplifying to them to a certain extent, that in fact, these are situations and circumstances wherein the masculine has, and what we're almost seeing here, the masculine in that point of observation, the reason feminine is opening up in this way is not only is the new masculine energy listening, actively listening, they're giving their own feedback. They're almost amplifying and being like, no, I know, I see exactly what you're talking about. I have experienced that as well. Let me tell you, like, my perspective. It's becoming the mutual past is becoming a connection point. This is also how feminine is seeing that moment of growth. Masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union right now, moving into the divine union frequency. This is the energy of masculine and feminine addressing these past circumstances and situations. I have to stress, something about coming into divine union right now is very triggering for the energy, because masculine and feminine energy, the reason you are not susceptible to outside energies trying to pull this partnership apart is because you've seen it before. Feminine literally stayed quiet as it was happening because feminine knew that there was nothing they could say or do because they'd been through that experience previously. Masculine had that moment of deja vu because, again, it was reminding them potentially of an experience that they lost a potential divine union opportunity because energy pulled them away from something. And it was almost like that dawning realization of them seeing and recognizing it and saying to yourself, oh, it's happening again. I remember what happened last time this happened. Amplified your own ability to remain consistent in the divine union. For both energies right now, it's almost this moment that we see that there is a little bit of rehashing here that's happening even as you're communicating outwards on this, because it's almost like the situation itself is triggering. It's almost immediately begging that reminder of the past experience that may have led you to have this point of insight. And this could even be masculine opening up to the feminine, being like, you know, the reason I'm navigating this is because this has happened before. And feminine being like, it's happened before as well, because these energies are not holding back on each other. They're using the past as productive data points, because the past isn't something they need to hide, because the past is in the past. It's the amplification and the articulation of the past being the past that is allowing for this level or degree of unpacking. Now, and almost potentially saying, a past version of me would have fallen for this stuff. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is masculine, like I said, the princess and the pea. This is masculine getting fastidious about the situations and circumstances around them, including any energies from the past that they feel are open-ended and need some point of closure on. This is masculine effectively again, and with the amplification and support of a feminine energy who, again, even though has expressed some trepidation, is backing up the masculine in this way, and also masculine feeling like they have a supportive support system around them of other strong, healed masculine energy. Intentionally tackling these circumstances and situations from the past for the benefit of their own healing journey and also for the benefit of the divine union. And this may even involve some of the issues around the feminine's past as well. This is that mutual work of, again, just trying to smooth the sheets, if you will, on the karmic energy surrounding the divine union, as it were. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. And again, feminine's still a little bit trepidation on this, but again, masculine feels very confident. Feminine's letting the masculine's confidence support. That's the thing. That's the reason we see that the feminine is okay with this, if in feminine divine union right now, because again, masculine is very, very confident that masculine's it's not going to blow. It's not going to have that it's not going to have that ricochet effect that you're worried about. It's not going to be a moment where you're putting good to something and negative comes back, because this is almost masculine saying, I'm not going to let that happen. There's the energy, again, this is the amplification of the divine union saying that there isn't, again, it's the observable point of the divine union saying, what we've created can't be torn asunder. What we've created is strong. What we've created is restorative. This is almost that point of observation of masculine saying to feminine, and that's what we've been seeing over the last few days of saying, you don't have anything to fear there. The reason you had an anxiety point of fear is that was before we were together. That was before we'd found the divine union frequency. We are now in that vibration. We can maintain that. It allows us to continue to further this healing. And almost that point of amplification that what the masculine and feminine are doing right now is just trying to bring that healing to any energies around them, including anything from the past that feels like it needs it. This is literally doing that careful tending energetically of any space, not just in the immediate present now, but anything in the past that feels like it needs that healing brought to it. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is a feeling right now of, again, it's going to feel a little bittersweet, because this is almost a moment that we're seeing for the energy of divine union right now that is amplifying. Masculine's almost trying to amplify right now, and I need to stress, this could feel a little triggering for masculine energy that's trying to work on supporting the divine union, because there almost might be a moment right now, whatever the communication that you're trying to have right now, related to energy that's casting that that point of doubt or that point of cynicism on what you're trying to manifest at this moment. They may be trying to utilize your past to harm you. They may be trying to there's something here potentially of the recognition point is someone potentially outside of the divine union itself trying to present you with the past version of yourself to build that sense of doubt. But we see here for the energy coming into divine union, this is almost masculine immediately calling a halt to that. And almost, again, what's happening here, this is why it's healing. This is masculine energy taking accountability. This is masculine energy that's not moving into a state or space of denying a way or a pattern or modality they may have been in the past. This is literally masculine energy amplifying to anyone that's throwing those stones at what the masculine is trying to build right now, is almost saying it's not, you can't. It's not going to hit me because that's not me. It's masculine knowing in their heart and saying to themselves that's not me anymore. That's not who I am. The divine union has changed me. The divine union has healed me. This is literally what the potentiality of is the masculine amplifying to the energy around them at this time and saying, whatever you have to say about it, whatever you think is happening, if this is energy being this is not going to last, I've seen you do this before, blah, blah, blah. This is almost masculine not taking the bait further and saying, no, this isn't that. because this isn't something I'm doing from a point of reactivity. This in itself, even what you're doing right now, doesn't have an impact on me, because the masculine is saying, I know where my healing lies. It lies in the divine union. Feminine seeing a modality of this, and this is going to, I have to stress this right now. The reason we see that this is a feminine that is getting the amplification of a masculine that can stay in the divine union frequency is that this isn't a masculine that's getting petty. This isn't a masculine that's taking the bait. This isn't a masculine that's like making a whole hullabaloo about the energy outside of the divine union, having a problem with the divine union, like making like a boogeyman energy out of it. Like, this is feminine almost seeing again, masculine being like, I don't care. I don't care. It's not a big deal. This is where I need to be. And I will say, if the feminine energy starts to see the masculine start to build a boogeyman out of it, right? Start talking more and more and more about the energy outside the divine union, about all the problems about that energy outside the divine union. This is feminine that's almost immediately saying that's going to be a point of anxiety for feminine, because it's almost a masculine that's like letting themselves get pulled out of the divine union frequency by the pettiness of energy surrounding it, right? It's like chasing shadows, if you will. It's like letting themselves like lose it, because they'd rather sit there and play a game of like cops and robbers, as opposed to focusing on the energy of the divine union. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment of observation from the past that we are effectively seeing. And we are recognizing this modality wherein we see that the masculine energy, if you are in separation right now, you are having that point of optics. You are having that point of observation. You are navigating situations and circumstances within your own self. There is a point of abundance that's coming towards you at this time that is creating this modality wherein you are able to see the healing that's coming in presently is now having an impact on all of those past experiences. It's lending some level or degree of clarity. It's lending some level or degree of transparency. It is helping build this optic. So now it's this moment that for the masculine in separation, this is almost like the healing that you're finding in the present is now almost re-articulating your perception of experiences from your own past. And you're looking at your own past with new optics from the place that you are now, which is your own healed perspective. Feminine in separation right now, this is the healing that you're currently feeling at this moment, because it is allowing you a point of closure. It's not the fact for feminine right now that there is an observation on things that feel like they are open-ended from the past. It is more the fact that feminine is finding themselves comfortable speaking about those moments right now, and it doesn't feel like it is dragging them back there. Rather, it feels like it is bringing in healing and catharsis. Why is it bringing in healing and catharsis? Because feminine is articulating that story and those experiences to a healed masculine energy that is able to support the feminine's experience, that is able to, again, validate it, and potentially is able even to give further insight and further healing. That's either coming from new energy that the feminine is in communication with, or masculine energy from the past that has done that healing work and is ready to address those things from a state and space of healing. Next card in our 5-card spread for today is 9 of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union. What we are effectively seeing is a moment and modality wherein, again, what we love about seeing this energy and this vibration right now, especially the energy in divine union, is the fact that this is literally a moment of masculine. And we love this. We love this about the masculine energy. This is literally a moment or modality where masculine wants to move forward with the best of intentions, and feminine's going, whoa, 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 stop. And masculine's looking at feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And masculine's saying to feminine, why are you saying whoa? And feminine's like, sometimes when you have the best intentions, you can get really, really hurt. And masculine's looking at feminine being like, what are you talking about? Like, masculine's almost looking at feminine being like, what do you mean? What do you mean when you go forward with the best intentions, you can get hurt? And feminine's like, let me tell you. And masculine's like, absolutely not. Not on my watch. This is literally masculine almost amplifying to the feminine divine union. Like, no. Like, that only happened because we were not in union. You are not going to be in a space or place where your intentions are pure. And someone is going to take that and put you in a space or place where you have to regret moving in a state or space of kindness. This is almost masculine saying, not like, this is almost masculine doing this for the sake of, again, this is literally masculine in divine union saying, I need to heal you of that. That's where I need to put this healing. I need to put the healing in the space or place that someone taught you that it's not safe to be kind. It's not safe to be good. It's not safe to love. This is literally masculine saying, I am not just doing this right now to heal the past. I'm doing this because I'm trying to show the other energy that I am in divine union with. That we are not going to work and live in a space or place where we have to feel afraid to be kind and to be caring to others. Feminine seeing this right now, you're literally feeling that amplification of the healing coming in towards your own feelings of vulnerability in moving in that capacity. Like the energy, the divine union itself is teaching you to to shed your fears so that you can move in a state or space where you can be your true self. You can allow that goodness to flow out without feeling like it's going to have a negative impact on you. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union right now. This is effectively what you're doing right now for the energy. If the energy is staying in the modality of the divine union frequency, I got to stress this. If the energy is taking the bait, if the energy is utilizing this to go chasing after other energy, to go on the attack, to go on to go into this punching match, if you will, in terms of negative energy matching negative, it's almost immediately pulling you back out of the divine union frequency because you're effectively putting all of your care, effort, energy in things outside of the divine union. The attention is not on the divine union. The attention is now the magnification of the divine union amplifying a connection outside of the union, right? It's like someone trying to poke the bear worked because it's pulling you out of it. If the energy instead is literally looking at situations and circumstances right now and basically saying, I wish you well. I'm sorry you feel like that. I hope you find peace. I hope you find as much happiness as I have found here in the divine union. Then this is the energy staying in the divine union because it is amplifying the peace and the positivity that the divine union is bringing. And all of it right now has to do, it's not the fact that there aren't situations and circumstances from the past that are rising up around the formation of the divine union energy. It's all about how you handle it right now. And some of the masculine and feminine energy is recalling this right now, especially if this may have been past circumstances or experiences wherein this occurred. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine energy healing from the past right now. I'm liking this retrograde, guys. I'm liking this energy. This is feminine healing from the past experiences right now by finding an ability to articulate upon them. Not only is feminine articulating right now upon the past experiences, but feminine is not feeling like this is a source of pain. This isn't feminine poking a wound and going, ow, 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 ow. This is feminine energy that is feeling a catharsis. They're feeling the healing coming in because they're feeling here that the feminine is feeling ready to discuss. Ready to discuss something from a past perspective is what is amplifying to the feminine how far they've come on their own healing journey. And again, potentially towards new masculine energy that they're trying to build a connection with, or past masculine energy that is approaching the feminine with the same desire to heal by addressing the past situations. That is how we see that the feminine is healing at this time. Masculine in separation right now, this is a moment that is, again, self-reference that is leading to new work. Masculine, you are in a point of healing. You've reached that point of insight that's been coming to you over the last few weeks. If in separation, it is that moment that you are looking back on past experiences of your own self with new optics. And this is now what is feeling like it is liberating you, because you can see how you may have limited yourself in the past. You may have seen how your vision was limited in the past. You may have seen, again, you're looking at this as inner child work, and I keep needing to stress to you guys, inner child work doesn't mean you at 6. If you've been carrying a wounded inner child up until like last week, then you can look at yourself last week and say, there's my inner wounded child. There's my inner wounded child. I was moving. I was letting that inner wounded child make all the decisions. This is almost masculine being like, I see them. That was not something I made from this point of healing. That was my inner wounded child going on a rampage. Like, this is masculine coming into that space of accountability and understanding is now what is liberating you, because it's allowing you to move with intentionality, and it's bringing, it's healing that's going backwards and forwards. You're forgiving your past self. And by forgiving your past self, you are observing that you are no longer that person, because you're forgiving them because you no longer are them. And that's what's allowing you in a way to also talk about those experiences almost from a subjective separation point, because you're looking at it now and saying, that's not who I am anymore. I wouldn't make those choices. And that sense of accountability is almost further amplifying, if you're in new communication with feminine, your own ability and degree to recognize how far you've come on your healing journey. 5th card in our 5-card spread for today, as like a bunch of cards fall on the floor. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. As I said, what are we seeing right now? What is the separation point presently between masculine and feminine energy in divine union? This is a bit more triggering for the feminine. Why is this a bit more triggering for the feminine? Because even if you are in divine union right now, even if this is a moment of healing, there is an observation that is being made right now with the healthy masculine energy, the healed masculine energy around you right now in the divine union frequency, that feels like a little bit of a blow. And that blow is recognizing and seeing yourself in the past. What's almost one of the things that we're seeing that the feminine, the reason the feminine energy in divine union right now is feeling so supportive is masculine saying, that's not going to happen again because I'm here. And I'm not going to take advantage of you. And this is feminine almost having to look at the past with a masculine that's now not doing that and going, I was being taken advantage of. This is literally feminine having to look at something, and this is why this may be triggering, because again, masculine's perception on something. Do you see what's happening here? Masculine's perception on the healing journey, observing something to feminine, is almost amplifying to the feminine and saying, yes, when you are outside of the divine union frequency, you are more vulnerable. You were taken advantage of. There were energies that wronged you. And it's almost amplifying to the feminine to a level or degree that the feminine could not see their own selves outside of the divine union frequency. And it's almost that moment that like the feminine energy that's going through that point of healing right now, feminine's looking back on their old self and being like, oh my gosh, wow, how did I do that? How did I make it through that? Because it's almost like now feminine is seeing something through the masculine's eyes. That's that clarity. The feminine's being able to like see the vantage point of their own experience through the masculine's perception, and it's almost amplifying how vulnerable the feminine was in the past, how taken advantage of they were in the past. It's almost like that clarity, and it almost in a way, like it's good to see, but it almost makes the feminine, it's almost making the feminine feel a little unstable here, because it's almost that moment of observation of the feminine in recognizing what was effectively, like how vulnerable they were, how susceptible, how the feminine, like even at that moment that like they were trying to be like, it's almost like amplifying the feminine being like, I was taken advantage of. Like the feminine wouldn't even give themselves the observation point in recognizing that they were being taken advantage of prior to this point, because to do so would have been a moment that would have left the feminine feeling too vulnerable. So feminine having to take that point of accountability and recognize that from the past in a way is amplifying the healing, but it's hard work. It's shaky territory. It makes the feminine like it unsettles the feminine to a certain extent, because it's like recalling and reminding them of like that experience and how different it is in the present. Masculine and feminine that are coming into, and masculine seeing this right now is again almost amplifying. This is why we see masculine is almost leading forward in this way right now, because this is masculine saying, this is literally masculine saying to feminine right now, if they're in divine union, if you are saying to me that you are worried about doing something good because it may harm you or come back to you, it's almost masculine saying to feminine, you were wronged in a way I can't even articulate. You were wronged in a way I can't articulate. And further, I need to show you that we don't move forward like that there's not any reason that you need to. But even now, this is feeling like vulnerable territory, because this is feminine that's learning that it's okay from the masculine in divine union, trying to say to them, it's okay, you can come out. Like, it's like literally masculine being like, you can come out, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Masculine and feminine in moving into the divine union is moving in this modality where, again, the feminine is feeling much like we see for the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now. The feminine's feeling much more wounded about this. This is feminine that literally feels like there was energy that was trying to pull the masculine energy out of the divine union that they were starting to form with feminine, if continuing forward in this way. And even now, I have to stress that feminine is keeping a very watchful eye on this masculine energy, because feminine is working to see now if masculine's going to effectively take the bait, if you will, and fall out of the divine union frequency by letting themselves get triggered and provoked. Letting themselves like effectively take the bait, if you will, throwing a lot of their time and effort and energy towards something to a certain extent, would almost like it's almost immediately amplifying to the feminine and trying to almost like articulate to whether they feel like this is a masculine that's going to be able to navigate that frequency, because feminine also recognizes that not only can energy pull you away from the divine union, but they can try to provoke you out of the divine union frequency, right? And so this is a feminine that's literally, again, amplifying to masculine. If this is a masculine that's like trying to figure out what to do about that energy, this is feminine almost saying like, send it love, wish it well. And we see here that, again, the divine union frequency isn't letting themselves get triggered into that modality that's going to pull them back out of the frequency. Instead, they're basically saying, I'm sorry you feel like that. I'm sorry you don't think this is a good idea. I'm sorry you don't like seeing me in this vibration. I wish you well. I hope you the same happiness that I have found. I am sending you that happiness. And we see here that the energy that's, again, staying and moving into the divine union frequency, it's coming from that state or space of being like, I'm sending you that peace. I hope you find the same level of peace that I am finding in the divine union frequency. And we see that both of the energies are navigating that space or place right now. At the same time, feeling like there is something here that is open-ended, that is triggering, that's trying to pull them back out of it, if you will. It's that moment here that both are navigating. Feminine is a lot more nervous right now if coming into the divine union frequency, because if feminine sees masculine that starts hyper obsessing about this, if starts utilizing this as this game of like cops and robbers, or trying to like, look like, oh, we're going to do this, and I'm going to like, this is feminine almost being like, this is not you coming into divine union because you want to be with me. This is you coming into divine union because you want to play this game of provocation with someone. So we see here that to a certain extent here, even the energy in this modality right now, feminine is feeling a little uncertain because they're watching to make sure that the masculine is going to let this just kind of go, instead of letting it pull, potentially have that deeper impact on what they're creating by obsessing on the energy outside of the divine union. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see that the feminine is coming into this point of healing right now. Because this is feminine energy right now that is motivating right now and utilizing this point. It feels like hard work. It feels like rough territory here. This isn't easy. This isn't easy for feminine to discuss, these situations and circumstances from the past. It's triggering. It's triggering. And because feminine feels like, to a certain extent, explaining themselves in this way, feminine is almost amplifying how vulnerable they were. But again, the reason the feminine's pushing themselves into the space is articulating and identifying how they were vulnerable and susceptible to something in their past that hurt them. Is now that moment that feminine's almost immediately getting healing from it. And it's almost that moment for feminine, to a certain extent, that may feel a little bit like, if you're in separation right now, like there's something around you that feels like it has to hurt before it can heal. You know? Like almost masculine seeing, and like this could be a masculine, like this could be a feminine talking about some things with neither new masculine energy or old masculine energy. And almost like the new masculine energy saying, we don't have to talk about this. And feminine almost immediately saying, it's okay. It's like feminine having like the worst look on their face and being like, it's okay. It's good to talk about it. But not, it's like, that's why it's so hard, because the masculine, you may be seeing the feminine is like, it's okay. It's good to talk about it. And it's like the pain is visible, right? Because it's like a cleanse. You know, it's like a cleansing. It's like something that's hard to do, but feels like it is restorative even as you're doing it, because being able to release it is the purging. It's like feminine is purging that through the act of speaking, through the act of articulating. Even though it's hard, it feels like it's restorative right now. And feminine's either doing this right now with, again, old masculine energy that is coming towards the feminine from a point of observation, having shown an ability to heal, to be willing to discuss these things with a sense of bringing healing into play. Or this is feminine building new connections with new masculine energy. And again, feeling that this is amplified because this is masculine that's not negating or ignoring or diminishing the experience of the feminine. This is a masculine that is almost immediately building an empathetic with the feminine in terms of recognizing and saying, I've been there too. I had something similar. I did that without realizing it. You know, it's that point of like mutual accountability, that bridge building that's happening now for feminine, that is allowing them to come into that point of openness, even if they're in a point of separation right now. Masculine energy, you are getting this lesson right now from one of two different modalities. You are either building new connections right now, as I said, with new feminine energy, if you're on your healing journey. And you're building these, and you're seeing something about your own past self that you may have recognized to a certain extent. You may have been party to your own self without even realizing, because you weren't at that point of healing. So again, there's something that the feminine may be connecting to you on your own experience right now that may be very difficult to hear, because it does feel like it's triggering. It's almost that memory or that recall of a past situation where you may have inadvertently brought a point of instability towards a feminine without necessarily intending to. But that point of observable personal accountability is where we see that shift is, because this is a moment that is almost expressing itself as a point of healing, because we're seeing here that there's this point of observation in what you've changed about your own self that feels like even now this is a point of restoration to a certain extent, because even moving into this vibration, whether this is new energy of feminine, this is either an energy where you can kind of feel that like deja vu connection to that old force that may have harmed the feminine, because you used to be that person potentially when you knew yourself less. Or this is a moment of personal accountability in your own journey. But again, it feels in a way like the healing is further completed, because it's almost this ability now to build a bridge with the feminine, because you're making amends to your past self. You're saying, this is how I can heal that past version of me. I can be the person that I should have been at that moment. Because now you almost feel like this is a maturation process of the self. Masculine energy that's in separation, this is either new energy that you're moving into that modality with right now, or this is coming in full circle to try to take accountability around a past experience wherein a feminine was brought to this point around you. And almost coming towards this energy from an amplification of saying, I recognize that you might not have been perfect in those moments. But if you were not necessarily perfect, it is probably because I did not make you feel safe, seen, or supported. So again, either way, both sides right now, we see that there's a lot of healing coming in for the masculine energy and separation, which we love. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Wands in combination with our Five of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Cups. This is beautiful. So what did we say? Masculine energy in divine union right now. Masculine energy is just being like building the bridges. Positivity. This is literally masculine energy leading with the positive emotion right now. And this is masculine energy just really doubling down on this to a certain extent. And again, it's almost that moment of positivity for masculine that's almost like that point of expressing past situations and scenarios with that sense of saying like, you know, I just want you to know, like, I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you positivity. I'm here to apologize. I'm here to like bring forth that healing, because this is almost masculine feeling like that is like the completion point on their own healing journey. This is, again, a moment that masculine is, again, amplifying to feminine. That masculine, and this is what I need to stress, even for the energy right now, in divine union, this is masculine effectively amplifying and saying to feminine right now, I'm not doing anything for a reaction. I'm not doing anything to open a box. I'm not doing anything to kick a hornet's nest. I am doing this to bring closure, to bring positivity, to bring healing, to know effectively that internally I did what I was necessary to heal anything, not because I want to continue something forward. It's more of that sense of masculine almost amplifying to the feminine through their own motivation and action and saying effectively, this is something that I'm doing for both of us for the sake of our mutual healing. This is masculine saying to feminine, I am moving from this vibration because of you. I am leading forth with this because of you. I'm not going to deny that ability to lead forth like that because of you, because that is me effectively denying the power and value that has been brought to me through this connection with you. Feminine seeing this right now with masculine is, again, almost amplifying to you to a certain degree the masculine energy moving in this modality, because again, it's almost encouraging you as well to move into that state or space of healing, because this is almost masculine saying you shouldn't either. You shouldn't feel like you can't address things that need to be addressed. You shouldn't feel like you shouldn't be able to bring healing to things that you want to bring healing to, because you have to remember that you're safe, seen, and supported here because I've got you. You know, you're not alone on that journey right now. It's something that we're partaking in together. And so this is almost masculine, again, leaving themselves very open, because for the feminine this is like the feminine in divine union right now, almost like now articulating a lot to the masculine, those moments that they did not feel as safe, seen, and supported, and masculine almost being like, I want you to tell me, like, keep going, I want you to know. And almost like masculine saying, I am sorry those things happened to you. I'm going to make sure they never happen again. Masculine energy and feminine coming into divine union. This is that point that feminine is watching the masculine very, 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 very carefully. Because again, what do we keep seeing here? This is a feminine that is seeing a masculine addressing those outside situations and circumstances that may have tried to affect or impact the divine union, the situations that feel open-ended from the past, because that's how the feminine sees them. Any energy that was trying to pull the masculine out of divine union potentially has some kind of past connection to the masculine. That's all feminine seeing it as. Like feminine seeing it pretty clearly. This could even be feminine being like, I feel like they're diminishing their connection to this person, because if this person's, motivated in such a way, there's obviously a deep past here. This is feminine watching the masculine to see if the masculine is just going to use this as being like a point of peace and being like, whatever, they can think what they want. I don't care. Or if the masculine's using it, if the masculine starts to utilize or try to use the divine union to build a new bridge. If the masculine's like, oh, I need to go talk to them. I need to go do this. I need to go do that. I need to go like, blah, blah, blah. I need to like write, it's like if the masculine is utilizing this right now as that like moment, as the divine union's forming, then this is the feminine that's feeling like this could be potentially being pulled out of that frequency, because this is again masculine, like effectively taking the bait, if you will, and letting themselves like slip out of the divine union, because the energy around them is like, using the divine union to try to poke at the masculine. So this is feminine almost again looking at the masculine saying, don't worry about it. Don't let it bother you. Let's let the past stay in the past. Let's not decide what we need to bring into the future. Masculine and feminine, that is in feminine and masculine, again, this is that moment that you are also, if you're staying in the divine union frequency, it's not like you're letting this be a moment that you're starting to like plot and decide and communicate. It's that moment that you're almost just saying to someone like internally or if you're staying in the divine union frequency, it's not like you're letting this be a moment that you're starting to like plot and decide and communicate. It's that moment that you're almost just saying to someone like internally or that are in separation. This is more of that same energy that we see right now of the feminine almost articulating and amplifying right now. Situations and circumstances from the past wherein, again, they feel like there was not the closure that they effectively, ideally aspired to. This is almost a moment that feminine is almost amplifying and articulating and saying like to masculine energy. This could even be feminine saying like to other masculine energy as they're in separation, I wanted to help in these spaces and places. I wanted a better outcome. I did not receive this, and this energy is not in that modality to experience it. And this is almost the masculine energy almost immediately having that point of amplification in saying to the feminine, like, I understand. I've also been there. I've been in those same experiences. It's that observation of the past right now that we are seeing that the feminine is helping the feminine move forward right now. Because this is feminine having this moment of past recollection. And instead of that being some kind of motivating factor through which they're being like, receiving some kind of reprisal or feeling some kind of like energy trying to push that away. This is almost masculine energy being very open and receptive and being like, no, please tell me more. It's like that moment of getting that level and degree of care and support from the past right now is helping to amplify an ability to move forward from the feminine, because this is almost, again, feminine, not just having one masculine energy around them right now that is in that modality. This is potentially feminine energy finding a lot of energy, again, utilizing the art of discernment before opening up their heart space to understand and see if the masculine energy around them can either empathize, understand, or articulate upon those past experiences. This is the feminine energy building that like connective tissue, if you will, through empathy prior to opening up their own heart space. Because it's almost the feminine energy that is amplifying their own unsteadiness in doing so by telling and recounting to masculine energy why that is the case. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment. And again, it is something that either on a metaphysical level right now or on a very practical, tangible level, there is something we see is happening with the masculine energy, that you are being given something in the present moment that is changing your own perception on past experiences and past circumstances. And it feels very bittersweet because it's, again, that amplification of that desire to wish that you could take that knowledge, take that insight back to some past experience, like drop it in the hand of your past self and say, you need this right now. But you can't, because you can't move back into that past self. So we almost see here that masculine in a way is almost utilizing this to communicate something along the lines of saying like, I wish I knew the things that I knew now in my healing journey in my past, because I know now what I should have said, what I should have done, what would have been leading by emotion and healing as opposed to being so like pushing away. And we see even again, masculine in that modality, it shows the extent of your own healing journey, even if it feels bittersweet, because it is that desire to want to help and heal the past self with the present experience. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Swords in combination with our Ace of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress in its reversal. This is triggering work. This is triggering work right now for the feminine energy. It's triggering. The retrogrades are super triggering for feminine energy. Why? Because a lot of the past experiences that rise up for the feminine, this isn't going to feel like, look, both. What are you seeing is happening right now? For both energies, the retrograde is bringing up situations and circumstances from the past, okay? But I need to articulate the difference in those energies, and what it is stirring up is very different for this reason. And this is why it's having a different impact on the energy. For the masculine energy, it is that feeling of the desire and degree to want to bring healing back to a past version of self. It's feeling more like a point of personal optics, the vision of where you are now, the desire to take that knowledge and give it back to your past person is why we see a lot of this recounting of the past coming up, because that's that moment of showing how much work you've done. It's that personal accountability and saying, I wish I could gift this healing to that past iteration of self. For feminine, it feels a lot more triggering because this is feminine potentially right now looking at past circumstances and situations where they did not feel like they were fully seen, that they did not feel like they were fully valued, that they feel like they were potentially taken advantage of. Again, it's much more triggering because it's not necessarily a gift that the feminine wants to give to themselves in the past. This is feminine wanting to grab themselves in the past, pull themselves out of a bad situation like a house fire. Like, you know, they want to go save the energy from the circumstance rather than like being a point of trying to shed some kind of insight. So for both energies right now, there is healing happening. It's just going to feel a little different. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, masculine energy right now in divine union, it is almost a little triggering right now because something that you're even seeing in the feminine, and this is why we see that it feels like an educational moment for the masculine, but it almost creates a space or place of masculine feeling hyper protective of the feminine energy right now. If in divine union, because this is feminine energy coming into that point of recollection around past situations or circumstances, masculine just looks at it and says, wow, someone didn't treat you well. Wow, there was someone who made you feel like you weren't worthy. There was someone who made you feel like you were less than. This is feminine energy having to unpack all of that in front of a masculine, and masculine almost immediately feeding them back with support and love as they do so. But masculine almost getting very, very defensive about it because this is a masculine with their heart space open. So this is a moment that it feels very personal to see the feminine articulating on these spaces and places where they were not treated to what the masculine thinks that should be the value metric of that feminine energy. This is literally masculine, like going through the retrograde right now and being like, I love you, but who hurt you like this? Like, this is literally like masculine being like, I love you, but who hurt you like this emotionally? And feminine almost being like, well, like, how much time do you have? Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is going to feel much more triggering. And I have to warn you, for some of this energy, this might slip you right out of the divine union frequency. I want you to be very mindful of that. Because masculine right now, again, there's a moment as it relates to the divine union where feminine is feeling a lot of this outside energy. Feels like whatever was trying to pull the divine union apart was doing so. Feminine takes it very personally, and it's very triggering. And feminine's remembering moments or opportunities where that potentially happened in the past. Feminine's watching right now to see where masculine's attention is. Is masculine's attention in the divine union frequency on trying to make the feminine feel supported during this moment that they're feeling triggered? Or is the masculine building a personal vendetta? Is the masculine utilizing this as a call to arms? Is the masculine making this a personal, unilateral mission as opposed to doing what the feminine is asking them to do in divine union, which says, I just need you to support me right now. We can get over this. I just need support. If the masculine makes this a divine, like a vendetta, then this is feminine saying that they're like you're immediately slipping out of divine union, because this is masculine. Like literally, I have to stress this. It's going to feel like to a feminine that's like sitting there, and feminine's going, I'm hurting. I'm wounded. Like feminine's like, I'm bleeding right now. And masculine's like, I'm going to go take my sword and go to war. And feminine's like, I don't want you to go to war. I need a Band-Aid. I don't want, and he's like, no, I have to go. This is an insult to us. I need to, and feminine's going, I am bleeding out. I just need you to sit here and hold me. And masculine's like, no. If masculine goes rushing out to deal with this in that way, you're falling right back out of you're going right back into separation. Because this is feminine that says, like, the masculine doesn't see the feminine. The masculine's going to use whatever happens. The feminine is like a call to arms. It's like that modality is like literally the feminine being like, no, this was all about them finding something new that captivates their attention. The divine union is just one more plot point in their own personal narrative. So if the feminine sees that, immediately falling back out of divine union, into separation. If instead the masculine's like, oh yeah, I don't care. No, you're right. I don't care what they say. Let me go get you a Band-Aid. Let's sit down and talk about this. Then this is staying in the divine union frequency, because feminine's like, yeah, this is where we need to be. Feminine in separation right now. This is that moment that, again, it feels very triggering, because feminine is moving from this space or place right now of feminine being in that state and space where the feminine is remembering. It's hard. It's going to feel like, guys, there might be a lot of crying today. Okay. Feminine's remembering. I have to stress this. This is often what happens. These are those moments when masculine's like, why are you crying? This is why feminines cry. Because anytime feminine has something nice happen, it immediately reminds them of a time that they weren't treated as nicely. Okay? Why are you crying? I guarantee you a lot of energy today with masculine is going to be like, why are you crying? Did I do something wrong? And feminine's going to be like, no, you're doing something right. Like, this is so right. And the masculine's like, why are you crying? You're like, you don't understand. Because the feminine is going through that modality right now today where they're going to be so triggered that anything nice that happens to the feminine is like going to make them like potentially start weeping, because we're seeing here that anything nice happening is immediately pulling out the Rolodex on where the not nice thing happened. It's like pump pump. They're like they're like, like two shoes like hitting the floor. Okay. So having that moment right now could be a little confusing for some masculine energy, because this could be a masculine being like, did I do something wrong? And the feminine's like, no, you're listening. Like, again, if this is masculine energy and separation, meeting new feminine and actually listening to feminine's story, and feminine starts crying, masculine being like, what, did I do something wrong? It's like, no, you're doing something right. You're just listening to me. You're letting me talk. You're letting us, like, you're hearing what I have to say. You're sitting with me and giving me a Band-Aid, Now, masculine in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing is, if this is a masculine in separation, if this is new energy, if you're taking this healing forward right now, there could be this moment that, again, if you're making these connection points with feminine energy and you're moving in that state or space of accountability, if this is old energy, these are going to be hard conversations. If these are old energies, these are going to be hard conversations, because this is literally almost going towards, again, this is almost immediately going towards a feminine energy that has their wall up. They've got their battlements here. They've got those like that fortress up. But this is almost you basically approaching them and saying, I know why you're in that modality, and I'm sorry, and I want to talk about it. And this is literally masculine coming towards feminine saying, I want to talk about what brought us to this point. This is literally the masculine energy coming potentially towards feminine from the past and saying, I want to make peace. So this is either that energy here for masculine, because again, this is a masculine that's going through that period of growth enough that masculine is ready to have that conversation. This is masculine literally coming forth and saying, I get it now. I see what you were trying to show me. Or this is masculine energy moving towards new feminine energy right now, and feeling that necessary moment of seeing that feminine energy, potentially now again, having that energy, that the lessons that you've learned up until this point, having that active listening, having that observation point, connecting with that energy. And again, feeling like it is incredibly bittersweet, because it's almost a moment that we see here for masculine that something about that energy of talking about their own past feels like something that you want to help with, but you know that you can't because it was attached to some past version of you. Like it's almost like something that the feminine is telling you feels a little too close to home today, because it's almost that moment of being like, I was once that person. I was once unhealed. I was once where that feminine is articulating. And the reason that that's going to almost lead to a lot of compassion here, because this is almost that moment that you're potentially feeling and saying, I can't be that person then, but I can be the person I should have been then, now. Next card in our deck, we've got between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Nine of Wands in its reversal, two cards we love to see in combination to each other, the Two of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine energy right now, if in divine union, this is that moment that feels like you guys, here's the thing. Masculine and feminine are not embodying the same nature right now in the divine union frequency, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Both energies are navigating it, and it's almost the energy of the other one feels like it is amplifying the mutual healing. Why do I say that right now? Because again, this is a masculine energy. What did I just say is happening? This isn't a masculine energy right now that's simply just going forward to heal things for the sake of their own journey. This is now a masculine energy that is saying, I'm doing this for both of us. This is masculine energy saying, I'm doing this by example. This is almost masculine energy saying, I know you're scared of that lake because you're worried that there's like a monster under the surface that's going to drag you down when you just want to go for a swim. I'm going to go in first. I'm going to show you that this is a safe space for us to navigate. So this is the masculine utilizing their own strength to help the feminine in that point of vulnerability. And this is feminine that's saying to masculine, I need to tell you all of the ways that this has hurt me in the past. I need to tell you right now. I need to tell you every way that this could go sideways, because this is a feminine that's not doing that for a sense of personal easement. This is a feminine energy that's trying to warn the masculine of all of the dangers of going into that lake. So do you see what's happening right now? This is the core. This is two sides, but two sides working in a positive way. Masculine's going, I'm going to move forward and prove to you it's safe. And feminine's going, watch your feet. Don't step on a rock. I once stepped on a rock. I was bleeding for 3 days. Make sure that you hold your breath. Did you eat? When was the last time you ate? So it's like both energies are helping each other navigate difficult territory. Okay? Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union, this is a much more fraught territory, because what we are effectively seeing right now is, again, feminine sees masculine, and feminine is watching the difference, that very subtle dividing line between wanting to smooth something over, wanting to be bygones, versus utilizing the divine union as a way to reconnect with old energy. Feminine is watching very carefully that line to see if the formation of the divine union is something that is actually occurring right now. Or, and it's a very subtle line right now, or if the masculine energy is saying, no, I got to smooth this out. I got to go talk to them. I got to go do this. I got to do that. No, I can't let things be like that with this person. I got to find out I got to get to the bottom. Like, this is feminine watching very carefully and recognizing the difference between wanting to just say the limitation on care, between like, this is how much I care and that's where I'm going to stop caring, versus utilizing that overabundance of care to pull them back out of the frequency, because it's almost that moment of feminine recognizing or feeling the anxiety point that the divine union isn't a point of masculine desiring the divine union, or potentially having a moment of realizing or feeling like they want to use the divine union as leverage, is that moment that feminine is watching right now to see if this is going to stay in the divine union frequency. Because if the minute the masculine starts putting too much care and attention outside of it in relation to it forming, that's almost the feminine seeing and recognizing and falling back out of the divine union frequency, because it's almost realizing or feeling like masculine wasn't coming into divine union for the sake of the divine union, but more for a point of personal leverage. Masculine and feminine that are staying in the divine union frequency, this is literally masculine being like, I don't care. I'm only like, this is literally masculine showing feminine they have this ability. This is masculine energy saying, I care about this much. I care about this much. I'm willing to do this much. I'm not going to do this much. I'm not going to do this much. I'm willing to do this much. That's masculine. And feminine saying, are you doing this because you're, masculine showing feminine. What did I say the feminine needs to see from the masculine coming into divine union? An ability to stay consistent, to hold a note. So this is feminine watching masculine walk that fine line, walking the line and saying, do you know the difference between doing just enough what you need to do to allow for the divine union to move forward peacefully? Or is this where you're going to fall off that line? Give everything to something else. Utilize the divine union as a connection point with something else. Feminine's watching this very carefully, which is why we see for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union. This is a moment that feels a bit more like a nail biter, like you're holding your breath a little bit, like masculine coming into divine union right now. You may be recognizing this. You may be feeling the opportunity here. Again, some of this energy, like you're almost seeing now. It's like, I bet there's even some energy like masculine's getting, like someone just wanting to talk, something like that. Masculine energy coming into divine union, feeling again, if you're doing this and you're staying in the divine union right now, you may be feeling like you have to walk a very fine line. And you may be feeling right now, again, if you're feeling that pull, may start feeling less like desire towards outside energy and more of a pull of someone trying to pull you out of that frequency. Almost seeing it like that. Almost looking right now and feeling like someone is asking you to again, it's almost the energy of someone trying to pull you out. You're now trying to navigate that space or place and being like, oh, it's always going to be like this. There's always going to be that tug. I just need to reorient the tug. That's how you're staying back in the divine union, because it's almost like, again, it's like you're recognizing and saying, just to be clear, this is where I am. This is where my frequency is. You can't pull me out of it. You can navigate it with me, but you can't, this is not something that you can pull me away. Masculine in separation right now. Let's start with feminine in separation. Feminine in separation right now, this is going to feel like a little bit of a flux moment. Feminine in separation right now, what are we seeing is happening? Feminine is a moment where you're objectively looking at past experiences. You're finding that moment of speaking about them. And it almost feels now, in a way, like the past experience and the present have become separate. The moment that you started articulating, the moment that you started talking about the experience as it was past, you took one thing and you turned it into two. All right, you took the moment. This is why this is a healing moment for feminine, because you've moved out of a space or place and said, this is something that's happening to me. This is something that's happening to me. And you just did the magic of pulling it into two. And now you're saying, this was something that happened to me. This is where I am now. This is something that happened to me. This is where I am now. Now you're juggling two balls. Now you're healing. Your ability to talk about the experience from the past tense is what is allowing you to heal from the experience, because you've effectively separated the present experience from the past. You've taken one thing and you've turned it into two. And your own ability now to look and objectively articulate upon the past experience is what is now making it easier to navigate it, because you can look at it objectively and you can freely speak on it as in something that had occurred. And something that had occurred is something that has a finalitude to it. So speaking it into existence as it being the past right now for feminine is literally how you are proceeding to heal. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment or that modality that we are effectively seeing, wherein you are potentially moving through a moment where you yourself are on your own healing journey. You are doing this right now by observing the self. And it's not the experience, it is the past self that you are looking at. You are taking the one and you are splitting it into two. If you are looking now at your past self and you are saying to yourself that there are things that the present self would do that the past self did not do, you are effectively splitting yourself into two, which allows you now to conduct yourself in a way that you can make changes that are healing for you right now, because you are looking at yourself objectively and saying, that is not who I am anymore. I cannot be defined by that person because that person is no longer me. Being able to take that personal accountability is how you are healing during this retrograde right now. So for the feminine, this is the observation, the separation of experience from past to present. For masculine, it is this experience of doing that for your own self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Wands and its reversal in combination with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Knight of Swords. This is exactly what we should expect. This is exactly what we should expect right now, because observing the problem for masculine energy and separation. It's ironic, calling it masculine separation. The masculine energy just separated the energy from the past and the present. The problem with masculine energy and separation is separating the actions of the past self into the present is one part of the puzzle. The new problem to be navigated is, what does one do in that new space or place? Having that healing come through is all well and good, but now it's like, again, for masculine energy and separation, it's now like you've got it's like these two different versions of yourself. And you know what the other one did. That's like very clarified. You know exactly what that looks like. But what does this new one do? Who is this new person? How does one conduct oneself in a way that isn't that one? For masculine energy right now, even now, managing that, there could be a moment that feels a little like a point of surrender. It feels very, very vulnerable, because it's almost this moment that you can identify how that past version of self may have made the feminine energy feel more unstable. But that doesn't fix what one should do. This is like the big question right now with the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Welcome to Philosophy 101. What should one do? What is good? This is a masculine energy in separation, basically saying, what should I do? How should I move in a way that shows my intentionality without the assertiveness? What am I going to do to kind of move into a space or place? Again, this is the same question we saw for a lot of the masculine energy healing that we saw yesterday. How can I articulate and amplify to feminine energy that this is not me driving forward from a space or place of the past self? How can I show the feminine that I am in fact trying to connect? Because it's almost, the problem is right now is optics on your own self, masculine, that observation point. You're seeing it, you're recognizing it, you're feeling the feminine's fears, you're seeing the anxiety points, you're experiencing them personally. You may even be seeing them playing out in front of you in some way that feels like it's like triggered this change point in you. So for the masculine in this modality, there is potentially a lot of questioning here. And almost a lot of this is why we see that a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now is acting in the role of active listener. Because it's like that point of understanding is almost like, in a way, you're starting to understand like, and this is, masculine, you're going to hate this right now. You're like, masculine energy is recognizing that the activation point is no activation. That it's forcing you to be in a space where you just have to sit and you just have to listen. And the more that you're able to calm your own mind right now, the more you're able to embody that patience, the more you're able to really absorb the feminine energy. Like that in itself is a bit of the struggle point for the masculine in separation right now, because it almost creates a space or state that feels very antithetical to what you think you need to do. It feels like you're looking for something. Like I said, I've been describing the masculine energy right now as like a nail that's like a hammer seeking a nail. This is masculine, like almost like, I have to do nothing. I have to do nothing. I just have to be here. I just have to be present with the feminine to help the feminine come into a state of recognizing that I can do that. Masculine is trying, like, again, this is a bit of a challenging zone for a lot of the masculine energy right now, because again, it's kind of having to shut down that part of you that just wants to masculine energy might be doing a lot of meditation right now. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is effectively a moment that, again, there's something about the masculine energy around you right now. If this is leading to a point or a space, again, this could be a moment that feminine is at a point of, again, this is either new feminine energy, this is either new masculine energy around the feminine, or this is masculine energy from the past coming forward. And this is that point of validation that feminine's getting right now that's helping amplify to the feminine that there's masculine here that's moving through that process of healing. Because again, it's a masculine that's not moving forward with their own, like with their own purpose, with their own agenda. This is literally masculine. And feminine might be even at a moment right now where they're apologizing. They're almost saying to the masculine, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be telling you these things. The masculine being like, no, go on. This is all we should be doing. This is all we should be doing. Seeing a masculine energy in that modality right now is almost the value point the feminine is taking, and being like, this is a masculine energy that's on their own healing journey, because this is a masculine energy that is willing to put aside their own agenda to be able to make me feel comfortable, to allow me to have a point of expressing my own vulnerability. For feminine recognizing this right now, this is why we see that the feminine is almost allowing themselves to navigate spaces or places that feel like, this is a feminine that's saying, I don't feel really confident here. This is a feminine forcing themselves into this modality, but saying, I'm going to stay consistent here because you're showing me through your own not activation point, even a masculine saying, like through your own patience and finding me here, that this is a state or space that I am safe and I feel validated to do so, because there's that patience that's coming in. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is what feminine's watching for. This is what feminine is watching for. Feminine is feeling unstable at this time, and she wants to make sure that masculine isn't going to turn it into a vendetta. That masculine isn't taking her pain and making it their own to the point that they feel like they're literally departing from the feminine and then saying, I was doing it for you. Feminine's almost like having that point of having experiences in the past and being like, someone's done that. Someone like pulled away, completely lost the plot on our partnership, all for the claim that they were doing it for me. This is feminine literally almost trying to amplify this to masculine. This is why feminine's almost in that modality of saying like, let it go. Let it go. If you care that I don't feel comfortable, let it go. Because it'll just pull us out of the divine union frequency. If you let that stir you up and move you away from me. This is almost feminine saying, don't let anything move you away from what's important, which is the divine union. Masculine, in that modality, if you're staying in this could be a moment that feels very frustrating to you because there's a party that wants to like zip off. But like, again, if you're coming into the divine union frequency, you're like, I can't take the bait. I can't take the bait. Because that's how you're looking at it right now. You're looking at any energy that's trying to like pull you out of the divine union frequency as energy that's like effectively trying to have you like take the bait. That's almost like what masculine's saying. And this almost masculine saying to feminine being like, and if feminine's in that modality and you're staying in the divine union frequency, masculine's almost like, you're totally right. That's what's happening. I'm not going to take the bait. And this is almost masculine saying, this is how much I'm going to do about it. This is how much I'm going to do about it. No more, no less. Masculine and feminine in divine union. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing and recognizing wherein the energy is one where, again, they're helping one another. This is literally this is feminine that's feeling a little uncertain about the way that masculine's going forward in this. But just like, I need to stress this, just like we saw for the energy coming into the divine union frequency, this is feminine energy that's, again, almost feeling that the reason that the divine union's valuable is this isn't a masculine energy that is ignoring the lessons that the feminine is articulating through their own doubts and fears, because that's what they are. This is literally a masculine that's saying, oh no, I hear what you're saying. I see it. I recognize it. I value every data point that you're giving me through your own doubts and fears. I'm being more cautious. I'm hearing you. I hear everything you're saying. None of this is being ignored. This is literally masculine in divine union going, no, please keep going. I'm just gonna integrate it. I'm just letting it amplify and make sure that I'm moving with even more caution. This is literally masculine saying it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing. It's informing me so that I don't make a mistake. This is literally masculine saying, no, please, what you're telling me, the way that you're amplifying your own doubts and fears is beneficial for both of us. Because how could I, it's like with our powers combined, like literally, he's like, masculine's like, I'm going forward. You're giving me all of the energy that I need to know about anything that would be a pitfall in my way. How could I be how is this going to be a problem? No, please go on. I want to know these things. And again, I just want you to feel secure and open, even though everything that you're telling me feels valuable. This is literally the masculine energy, building that value point from the experience of the feminine, but also wanting to protect the feminine from having those experiences moving forward at all cost. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Cups in combination with our Empress in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Fool energy. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is very funny because this is basically amplifying the perception of both energies right now and how they're perceiving one another. Masculine and is basically trying to amplify to feminine right now. They're seeing feminine. Feminine's articulating in divine union all of those doubts, all of those spaces, all of those places that were wounding the feminine's heart space. And masculine is literally moving forward right now, intentionally with an open heart. Like I said, doing the cannonball first to show feminine energy. The water's fine. I'm going to show you that you can do this right now because you got to do it right after me. This is literally masculine being like, you got to do it right after me. And feminine being like almost amplifying and being like, but masculine's like, it's okay. I'm going to go first. I'm going to show you we can lead from our heart space and it's going to be fine. But then afterwards, you're going to follow afterwards. And feminine almost saying well, of course, where you go, I follow. I'm going that way as well. So, okay, go for it. I will also do that. But feminine is feeling a lot more trepidatious doing that and is yelling at masculine the whole way they're doing it. To say please be careful, please be careful. Oh my gosh. But again, feeling that amplification of recognizing that masculine's taking that leap of faith, not just for themselves, but also to show feminine that it's safe to do so. Feminine and masculine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is masculine energy. Remember what I said about moderation and finding an ability to be consistent? This is feminine that's looking right now at masculine. There's a lot of energy around them trying to potentially pull the divine union apart. And this is masculine that's learning that ability to say to feminine, I'm not going to completely ignore it. But I'm also not going to let it tear me away from you by building some kind of personal vendetta. I'm going to give it this much. I'm going to give it 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. And feminine, seeing that, is that moment that feminine feels again, this is that point of continuing forward on the divine union, because this is a masculine that's learning the ability of emotional regulation. What is emotional regulation? Emotional regulation is being able to decide how much emotional energy you are giving something. So this is masculine going, I'm going to give it 1 teaspoon, and feminine being doubtful they can, but watching them and saying, okay, I've never seen you. This is literally feminine being oh, they've never done this before. So feminine's watching to see if they're about to ruin they're gonna ruin the soup by putting in too much salt here, right? This is feminine being right? Masculine, if you're coming into the divine union, you also don't know if you can do this. This is masculine also because this point of like regulation of the self, of like saying, I'm going to give something this much of my emotional attention, is also something that feels like a little bit of a leap here for you. Masculine and feminine in separation. This is feminine energy opening up about their own experiences from the past. This is feminine opening up to masculine right now. But again, listening, masculine that listens, masculine that's building emotional connection right now. And that a modality right now, feminine seeing masculine, that is able to be present and hold space for feminine to articulate and amplify those situations and circumstances from the past that may have led them to having their heart space closed, is what is amplifying to feminine the security of being able to move forward at this time, because it's showing a masculine that isn't coming towards the feminine with any other agenda but to listen. Masculine. And again, the separation of the experience from past to present is being allowed to happen. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is looking at the past and present self. This is again that moment for masculine, shaping that new identity for oneself by being able to amplify that point in the past and saying, that's not who I am anymore, is that moment that allows you all new opportunities to almost like, it feels like a point of personal rebuilding, if you will. Being informed to a certain extent by the experiences of the feminine energy from the past that may have led you to this moment, that understanding what did not work, how you may have necessarily what you weren't able to bring forward to a feminine in the past, that emotional, but the recognition that this is coming for you finding your own self, your openness of your own self, that ability to moderate your own emotional point right now is that leaping off point. That's where you start. It's like you don't even need to start with much. You just need to start small. And it's almost that moment of having that empathy, that desire to learn, that desire to grow is effectively like that spark that you need. Like that's all you need. The rest can all be learned, because that's that moment that you're allowing yourself open to be in that role of learning. And how are you learning? By listening to the feminine energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Empress in its reversal and our Two of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, we love this, Ace of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is that moment that we see, to a certain extent, the divine union itself is allowing for these two different modalities to occur and occupy the same space, but it's not feeling problematic. It's feeling complementary, right? The anxiety and the caution of the feminine, fortified by a masculine that is hearing and listening and activating on those points of caution. Masculine moving forward right now to help assuage the feminine energy's own concerns through the activation point of their actions mingled with the feminine's caution is, again, it's taking two and turning it into one. It's the amalgamation, right? Did you notice now that in separation, the energies are separating? In divine union, the energies are merging. This is the complementary energies falling into a single determinative point of action. And that is why we see here, even with the feminine having that point of caution right now, masculine is effectively amplifying this to help build the feminine energy's own trust in that process. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is a feminine literally watching to see if a masculine can do this. If this is a masculine, what did I say? that's taking their own agenda out of an experience that the feminine is having, then this is a masculine that does not show an ability to merge, to alchemize these into a single thing. They're just showing the ability of continuing on their own course, falling back into separation. If the masculine energy is taking the anxieties and the caution points, even to the point of feminine saying, that's a trap, that's someone trying to poke you, that's someone trying to pull you out of divine union. If they are taking that point, they're not just throwing it away and ignoring it. If they are alchemizing the point with their own determinative point of action to implement a single course of action that both energies agree upon, then the energy is showing the fact that it can remain in the divine union frequency because it's showing that ability to do so. If the energy is taking the outside point and instead of, again, addressing the feminine energy's own needs and concerns, but utilizing it as an activation point to go on a personal vendetta outside of the divine union, I'm afraid you're probably falling back into separation. Now, masculine and feminine in separation, this is effectively feminine amplifying and again having this moment of articulating and seeing right now in separation. There's a weighing that's happening. But the weighing that's happening for feminine right now is a personal journey, because this is feminine now being in a space or place where she can articulate the difference between a past experience and a present. Separating them out is now grounding her in the present experience, which is why it may feel a little difficult and overwhelming for the feminine right now, because it's the observation that something has reached a closure point, because she can talk about it like something that happened to her instead of something that is currently happening. This is why feminine energy likes to hold down, because this is feminine energy suddenly realizing that this is a release process. This is how the feminine energy heals, by separating the experiences. That is something that occurred. That is something that can be released. And the feminine is releasing it. Masculine energy in separation. This is the separation process by which you are separating from the past self that may have harmed feminine. Observing the point of accountability that may have caused a feminine energy to come to a distance from yourself. And the way you're healing is by separating your two selves right now. Looking at yourself and saying, that is not who I am anymore. I am not the person that would have done those things that would have caused the feminine to be that way. That separation process is now allowing you to put all of your care and attention into who you are now. Into readjustment, into reinvestment. And letting go and healing by taking a adjustment into reinvestment and letting go and healing by taking a continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. We like this. This is good. This is a good retrograde. What's going on with this retrograde? We got here our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine, and we got the old energy coming in, but this is all for like positives right now. I like this. Merry Christmas. All right, masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is new ground that you're laying. This is the idea of, again, the masculine and feminine energy are just doing this right now like they're setting a table. Like the energy in divine union is literally just like, this is coming through as like a level or degree of fastidiousness. This is looking at things right now, and masculine even recognizing that you're doing things in a different way. This is masculine almost saying like, I don't move in the same way in divine union because I never just move entirely for myself right now. Masculine, it's like feeling that weight of saying like you recognize that you're thinking about other conscious energy as you step forward. It's like your actions aren't your own because you're taking that point in recognizing that nothing that you do right now is unilateral. It's always in that modality of thinking about the other factors at play. And that in itself is uplifting because it allows for new ground for both masculine and feminine. Feminine in this modality, you see this in your masculine. It's not the fact that your masculine couldn't move forward in any way that they desire. It's that you see in every way, shape, or form that masculine chooses. And they don't consider it a loss. They consider it a gift. They come towards you, not because they feel like they have to, but because they desire to do so, saying, I want to make sure that I am moving for both of us. I want to make sure that I'm facilitating that action point, that we're both on board for it. And it's that facility, that feeling of mutual determination that is further enhancing the ability for you to feel like you can lay new ground at every moment, because it's a choice that you make, not because you have to, but because you choose to, in every moment and in every way. It's a frequency that you inhabit. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is the problem for the feminine energy right now, because this is feminine watching the masculine very, very, very carefully to make sure that the masculine energy is thinking in this capacity right now and isn't going to effectively move back into that separation frequency and taking something that is affecting both of them and only doing what feels best for them. This is literally a moment where masculine may want to take a point of action, feminine saying, please hold back. And this is masculine, again, this is feminine trying to see if this is a masculine that's going to adjust their typical behavior. Again, a teaspoon. Having that point of moderation coming in that's going to allow for a point of balance that shows that evidence of a masculine continuing forward into the divine union frequency, because this is masculine energy that is showing a consistency in thinking in that modality, holding that note, and again, thinking about the fact that they're thinking about both of them instead of what's best for what they want to do, is building that sense of a new ground for the energy. And for masculine, if you are in this modality of coming into divine union, you're recognizing this. There may be a moment that you could even be saying to others like, well, what I used to do, what I wanted to do was X, but what I'm doing is Y. And why? Because again, you're thinking for two now. You're thinking for two, and that is that moment. Because again, you're thinking for two now. You're thinking for two, and that is that moment. It feels like it's going to feel like a bit of a breakthrough for the feminine energy in this modality right now, because it is the expression of something that was occurring now into the articulation of something that is past, is a moment that is allowing you a new beginning. And it does feel like it is a release process, because in a way you recognize that by articulating on something that has happened in the past, you're effectively, again, the continuation of like the actual energetic cord cutting. It's like something that you can look at objectively is something that you're getting prepared to release. You're ready to let it go. It's something that you're now like losing that grip on, because you're now articulating and identifying it as separate things, the past and the present experience. So again, it may be feeling somewhat difficult because this isn't a feminine that's doing so because of their own desire to. This is a feminine that's almost amplifying to the energy around them, that they feel like the masculine energy in that modality did not have the ability to maintain a consistent frequency. And that's that moment that we see for the feminine right now that may feel like a point of difficulty and potential, like, again, sadness coming in, some of that overwhelm, because that's almost a moment of grief in looking towards an energy and hoping that someone would be able to consistently come back in that way to maintain that vibration, but feeling to some extent that, again, you're surrendering that hope by moving and articulating it into the past. You're ready to let that go. You're ready to come into a point of acceptance. Masculine, in separation right now, it's this moment right now that is literally building a new possibility for new ground to be set amongst yourself right now, because this is a moment that you are identifying the difference between what the past self would have done versus the present self. And that is allowing you a new opportunity to build forth, because this is that point that you can now accommodate accountability, because you can look at things right now and say, I wouldn't do that anymore. Something that I did, I would not do now. I've moved on. I've grown. That was a different person. That understanding, that optics is what's now allowing you. And again, it can also feel a little bit vulnerable and intimidating for masculine in this modality right now, because it's almost creating that feeling of being like, well, Who am I now? What is that template? If that was the old me, what does the new me do? And building forth from that right now does feel like, again, it can feel a little intimidating for masculine in that modality because, you know, it can almost feel like the difference between observing something from like a demolition site or a construction or like a playground. How do you interpret that? How do you feel about that, right? Like moving in that space or place of seeing that as like a place of active growth as opposed to something that feels like deconstruction is going to be very important for the masculine energy in this modality right now. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. The Fool in combination, what I say, with the Ace of Pentacles, it is what you make it. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Three of Pentacles. Three of Cups in its reversal. So one of the things that we're potentially seeing right now is this could be a moment or opportunity, masculine energy, that one of the things that we're seeing in separation right now is a moment that you may be feeling to a certain extent that you're going to get a lot more fastidious about where you place your energy. One of the things we're potentially seeing right now for a lot of the masculine in separation, something about this lesson that recently came to you is about the hygiene, spiritual and emotional hygiene, and being more fastidious on where you put your energy. And what's interesting about this right now for a lot of the masculine and energy in separation, you're almost starting with like a lot of no's. Like masculine energy is like, okay, I don't know who I'm going to become now, but I know what I'm not going to do. Like this is masculine being like, I know what I'm not going to do. I'm going to start with that, right? And that's okay. Sometimes that's a good starting ground too. But like we see here that some of the masculine energy is potentially there's some of the masculine energy in separation right now. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's like giving me like 10 commandments things. Like instead of like laying new rules, like I will do this. You're like, this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. It's like New Year's resolutions coming quicker. One of the things I'd stress for masculine energy right now, if you're in separation, I will do this. You're like, this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. It's like New Year's resolutions coming quicker. One of the things I'd stress for masculine energy right now, if you're in separation, about things from a point of negation, think about what you're going to do instead, because you might be going back into the same pattern that got you into this in the first place. Start with, instead of saying, I'm not going to do that, say, this is what I am going to do. Moving this into an affirmation as opposed to saying what you're not going to, like, just do that instead, please, for me, for all of us. Feminine energy in separation. This is why feminine energy is being fastidious right now. This is why we see that the feminine energy in separation is being so fastidious, because this is feminine energy that's looking at the masculine to see if you're in that process of, again, moving into recognizing. And this is the important thing. This is the important thing. This is feminine right now that is not looking at masculine to say, I promise I'm not going to do this. I promise I'm not going to do that. This is feminine being like, you can do whatever you want. This is literally feminine being almost saying the problem is not about what you choose to do. The problem is you need to change that and stop looking at it like a divine union is a limitation factor. It's more of saying, I'm choosing you. Like, I'm affirming you. Feminine's looking for masculine, saying, like, not seeing the divine union as like, I told myself I'd never do that again. That's how I'm going to find what I'm looking for. This feminine energy literally going, I need to see masculine saying, I have decided I want this. I have decided I want that. I am going to manifest this for myself. I am going to manifest that for myself. I am looking to manifest this. If this is a feminine that's seeing a masculine that's like coming towards them and being like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't do this. I never do that. And the feminine's like, this is literally, I'm again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is literally feminine being like, you haven't gotten it yet. The hard rules is not how you move into this. You have to move into a state or space of being curious, of being open, of being in that space and recognizing that you don't drill down into a divine union by saying what you're not going to do. You amplify a divine union by saying, this is what I want for us. This is what I want to grow. This is what I want to build. This is what I see happening. I'm not trying to dig into the ground. I'm trying to build a castle. Let me tell you about the castle I want to build. Feminine's like, stop saying what the castle isn't going to have. Tell me what the castle looks like. Build it up. Stop trying to knock everything down. Feminine in divine union are coming into the divine union frequency with masculine right now. This is that moment that we're potentially seeing wherein feminine is watching masculine right now to see if masculine is able to stay in the divine union frequency and isn't, like I said, utilizing the divine union frequency as a point of leverage to build up relationships or situations outside the partnership itself. Feminine sees all the energy outside of the divine union. This is feminine energy saying, are you going to utilize this moment of them effectively creating that space of difficulty for you to throw your energy towards it? Or are you going to utilize this to continue to bring us closer together? Where are you investing yourself? This is why the feminine right now, if this is a masculine, like again, saying that they'll give a teaspoon of concentration in fixing something. This is why feminine is almost saying like, you need to even now, you have to remember that defending something, going to defend something is how you lose something. Going and making it a mission to do something is pulling you away from the thing that you need to protect. You need to recognize that that isn't a moment of like, it's all about finding that key point. This is a feminine and divine union right now, looking at masculine saying, are you going to utilize this moment where you need to support me and just use this as like a personal attack against you? Or are you going to stay firm and remember this is how we stay consistent in the divine union frequency by not being overly impacted and affected by the energy outside of us? Giving it, mutually deciding what you give it and letting it go from there. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. You're already here. You already know this. You're already in that modality. This isn't something new. What's interesting about this right now, and this is what feels like a little bit of a turning point, is this is implementing intentionally, putting care and attention in addressing these circumstances in a positive way, which is why we see the feminine is much more trepidatious on it and masculine is much more cavalier. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal and our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Justice card in its reversal, because this is why the energy in the divine union frequency is getting so fastidious on navigating these circumstances and situations, because what we're effectively seeing here is for masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, it is this moment of saying, to a certain extent, they're not doing it to see a reaction point. Masculine and feminine aren't trying to bring this healing forward right now because they expect it to come back. I keep stressing this. This is giving me like those Christmas vibes. This is like literally like, this is not like, again, what is a gift? A gift is something that you give without expecting something back in return. This is literally masculine and feminine to a certain extent moving in that modality right now, because again, it is the imbalance that is created around unhealthy karmic energy right now that is requiring or putting this attention or desire of fastidiousness towards the partnerships themselves. It's like the partnership right now is in a point where it's like, this feels like just an act of giving. This is feeling like something that needs to be shared. This is feeling that modality right now of doing so is effectively almost feeling like it's addressing anything that feels like it's not in balance around the divine union energy, simply for the fact of, again, it's not even that point of saying like, it's not like a gift horse scenario. It's not saying you have to take this. You know what I mean? It's not like saying you have to take it. But it's almost saying to a certain extent, we want you to know it's there. whenever you're ready, it is here. You can move, we want you to this is literally masculine moving here to heal these things. Feminine having that support as well, because both energies are effectively saying, we do this not because, it's really giving me the vibration of saying, you're moving right now not because there's an expectation of something back, because it feels like it would be wrong not to. Right? That's the sign of real growth, which is you don't do it with some kind of desire to get something back to a certain extent. You do it because it would feel wrong not to. How could you not? Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now in this modality. This is that moment that, again, feminine is looking a lot towards masculine right now. Masculine, you may be feeling this too. There's this moment this is why we see that the masculine energy that's trying to stay in the divine union frequency, you're realizing and recognizing that you're using the act of emotional discernment right now to decide how much attention and energy you're willing to give something that feels like it's demanding your energy. Because this is that moment that masculine, you feel like, again, there's something here that feels tender, it feels new, it feels like something that's just starting to form. And when something's just starting to form, you have to be a little bit more careful with it. And so masculine, we see here, this is that moment that is almost amplifying, and why we see that a lot of the masculine energy that's maintaining this vibration right now. You may have had moments that this happened before. It's the reminder of when this happened before and it was taken from you that you're now trying to avoid, because again, it's almost reminding you of past injustices, past moments that you feel like the balance was knocked off because your own attention, you let yourself get distracted. You let yourself get distracted. Masculine energy in this modality, if you're staying in the divine union frequency, you're potentially remembering right now. You're being reminded of those moments that something was potentially lost to you because you let yourself get distracted from what was actually important. Feminine is also remembering that right now. It's why they're so triggered. And feminine is watching masculine energy, if a divine union's forming right now, to say, are you going to do it? Are you going to get distracted? Are you going to get distracted? And when you're distracted, you're going to leave the divine union completely vulnerable in your act of distraction. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see that this is a moment that feels like a breakthrough for the feminine energy, especially because if this is a feminine energy that is leaving themselves open to new conversations with masculine, if this is a feminine energy that is articulating the situations of the past, has just separated them by discussing them, making the past separate, making it its own thing, taking one and pulling it into two, the present experience versus the past experience. This is feminine feeling that sense of karmic clearance, because this is feminine almost realizing and recognizing that they're ready to let something go. In fact, that they already did. The moment they were able to articulate something from being in the past was almost the moment it was being released. And for the feminine right now, it does feel like it is difficult because that isn't a situation or circumstance that the feminine wanted to release, but the feminine felt like they had to because of the unfairness of the situation, right? And it's almost feminine articulating. This is almost feminine, the story is almost this feminine saying, let me tell you how I had something precious and I had to let it go. Masculine, you may be seeing this right now on the part of a feminine energy. This is either masculine energy coming into that point of healing. This is a personal healing of the self right now, masculine, because that same separation we're seeing is a separation of the self. It's a moment that you're looking at the present self and you're looking at the past self and saying, these are two different people. This is not who I am today. That was not who I am today. This is who I am today. And it doesn't feel fair because, again, I can't give them that knowledge of what I know now. I just have to clean up where for some of the masculine in this modality right now, it's more of that feeling like, again, being dropped into a messy room and being like, I just got to clean up their mess. I got to, and again, for some of the masculine energy right now, this is going to feel like a positive. This is going to feel like a moment of saying, I I am building who I am now. I am creating myself in this moment. Or it's going to feel like I just got dropped in a big messy space and I don't even feel like this is mine anymore because the person I was who put me in this space is not who I am anymore, right? Continuing to get clarification, the final card for today's spread between our Three of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Wands in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine in divine union. This is that modality that we're effectively seeing where, again, there is that feeling of not knowing, like not knowing what moves beyond this point. It's that feeling to a certain extent of not being able to see what's beyond that moment. Because that approach, the way you're doing things right now, that healing that you're bringing in, that in itself is that shift, right? Masculine and feminine moving forward from that state or space of healing is almost that moment that, again, you don't know how the energy around you will accept or navigate it. It's not about the energy around you. It's so much as what you're choosing to do in that way. But again, moving in that state or space is almost that moment that's amplifying and saying, do with it what you will. It's not being done for a certain outcome. It's not being done to affect a change. It's done because it's what it ought to be done. That point of positivity is the point. It is the purpose. So this is that moment that we're almost identifying right now for the energy that you can't necessarily, you don't know what you don't know, right? But again, it's almost that point too that almost amplifies that that's okay. Like that in itself is okay. Because it's almost that point of seeing something and saying, what happens from this point is like, again, like any gift, it's a bit of a surprise. Now, masculine and feminine that are moving into the divine union, this is a moment that feels like a bit of a pinpoint because there is a moment that we see that feminine energy is navigating right now, watching the masculine to see if the masculine has this ability to recognize the difference between overgiving to the situations outside of the energy that may be forcing them away from the divine union, or if they recognize the importance and the power of moderation of one's emotional output towards those situations, to identify and determine what you want to give towards versus what you want to hold back so that you can maintain that frequency. So for masculine right now, this is feminine watching to see if the masculine is going to be pulled out of that, or if they're learning how to maintain a note. If they're learning about the importance of recognizing how to maintain that level. So this is feminine again, feeling the weight, and this is why feminine feels more absurd, like feels more like anxious in the space, feels more unstable, because this is feminine watching the masculine to see if they have this consistency or this ability. Now, masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is that moment wherein we're recognizing that for the energy that is coming, that is in separation, masculine, if you're in this modality right now, if you're in this modality and you're working through this point, what we're effectively seeing right now is that point of recognizing it yourself. And it's going to feel a little bit for the masculine energy that's coming into the divine union frequency right now, that you're like walking a very fine line. You know, you're trying to walk a very fine line. Because that fine line is, again, it's almost like feeling like there's outside energies or situations that are niggling, they're bothering you. They're niggling at you. They're like demanding your attention to a certain extent. You want to rush forward. You want to do something about them. But again, you're not just thinking about yourself right now. You're thinking about the energy around you. Navigating that territory right now is, again, that moment or situation that like is creating a space or place for you right now if you're coming into divine union, where it's like it feels a little bit like you're trying to do something that you haven't done before and you don't know if it's what it's going to result in. But that in itself is also that benefit, because it's almost you finding that internal, it's like that internal sense of understanding what demands your attention, what doesn't. That almost like it's kind of like defying your own optics on like outside observation and more following an internal compass. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing, that if the feminine's in separation right now, this is feminine that's almost moving into the space or state right now, that they're keeping a very close, they're paying a lot of attention to the masculine energy that's towards them right now to help articulate and identify that difference between an energy that is moving from a state or space of just looking and not embodying a lesson versus looking at having some kind of personal tenets that they're holding to conduct their behavior. If this is a masculine energy that's like moving in this vibration and almost coming into these like things of being like, I don't do that. I would never do that. That bothers me. I hate that. I'm not that type of person. This is almost feminine energy, almost seeing again that that's masculine energy that lacks vision. That's masculine energy that's rigid. That's masculine energy that hasn't necessarily embodied the lesson. They're more just parroting a lot of the energy that they're feeling around them to a certain extent. So for feminine in that modality, it's like that in itself is almost like for the feminine right now creating that ick, because it's like almost an energy that's trying to amplify like the rigidity of something instead of the understanding that the feminine energy is not rigid. The feminine energy is creative and it grows. And this is the feminine energy literally looking at something and saying, do you understand the difference between saying, I don't, I never, I won't, versus saying, I will, I desire, I want, I hope, I grow. Feminine's utilizing that right now to ascertain which direction the energy is. And that is why we see that feminine is looking right now towards masculine to say, do you understand? Do you understand like the beauty in being curious and open and expressing and recognizing that moving from that negation factor of saying, I will never, I won't, ever, no, we don't, the only way. Like that's the feminine coming into that point right now in saying, are you building a castle? Are we building a castle together? Or are you building a wall? Are you trying to build a castle or are you trying to build a wall? Bottom of the masculine energy, in separation right now. There is this moment that maybe you're experiencing that feels a bit like an internal journey, because what we're effectively seeing right now is that there may be something about your past sense of self that you may be seeing embodied some point of rigidness, but you are again almost articulating and amplifying to a certain extent that in a way, something that you were navigating in that way was almost limiting your own perception. That when you move into a space or place of saying never, 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 that's often like that is a limiting experience. That's how you like if you like every time you say never, 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 you may realize you are like putting like a little wall around yourself, your own wall of possibility. But the thing for the masculine in a way is like that point of recognizing that if that past self did that you were like almost building those walls for yourself. And it was potentially limiting your own possibilities. So moving into this space or place to a certain extent, again, for masculine energy, is almost this moment of recognizing how that past version of self may have limited your own possibilities. And having that point of self-recognition, that point of observation, is the first place you start. That is the first place you start. That point of saying, my vision back then was so lacking. I could not see. That's almost how you also forgive yourself. Because again, one of the things that the masculine needs to recognize is you cannot blame yourself for things that you could not see at the time that you did not have the ability to see them. So a lot of this right now is almost a moment of forgiveness for masculine energy to a certain extent, but it's taking that other version of self. It's not just enough, masculine, to look at that version of self and say, like, you blew it. Like, you can't do that. That's the inner child work. That's the inner child work. You are not allowed to hold that other ball and say, everything is the other ball's fault. That ball sucks. I hate that ball. This person, they are garbage. They're going to throw them in the dumpster. Do not take that ball. Please do not take that other person and say that person is the cause. You need to start putting healing on it. You need to start forgiving that person. That's how that's where it needs to start. You need to look at that other version of yourself and say, I see you. I'm not you anymore, but I don't hate you. I forgive you. I forgive you for your lack of vision. I forgive you because, again, it's that moment in recognizing and amplifying that the person that you are now should not be the judge and jury against the past self. It should be the parent. It should be the child that you recognize did not know better. That's the inner child work. Bottom of the deck on this reading today is our Four of Pentacles in its reversal. It is that moment right now. Everything's about this. Wow, this retrograde's like all about release. But this is positive release. But it's also that feeling right now, whenever we move into release, like, why do we hold on to things? We hold on to things because they feel safe to us. So when we move into that space of like energetic release, it's like, what are we going to hold on to? It can feel very disorienting. But almost, and I think that this is the amplification point. Don't look at it as a release. Like, again, it's not like you're taking these things and you're throwing them into a dumpster, okay? Think of it more as an act of sharing. Think of it more as something that you're giving forth that will come back to you. It's not something that you're letting go that's lost, because nothing is lost. It's something that you're letting go so that others can experience it as well, right? And letting that acceptance come, recognizing that what's meant to come back to you will come back, like that is also a part of the release process. And that's why release is hard, because we don't know what's going to happen at that point that we put something forward. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me on my website, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. So please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I'm never going to DM you. I'm never going to PM you. I'm never going to slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again